the only thing we have to do here, people, really and truly, is speak in relation to the West Brom game, really and truly. Like, preview the West Brom game. 1 second, let me see where the likes is. Hit the like button, people. 293. Come on, let's get that to 300. You lot are violating. It's the first live stream of 2021. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but live stream tomorrow, people. Check the pin tweet. Make sure you set your reminders and things like that. Bro, them man there are not fully IC3. You know, them ones are a bit political according to which one the mum and dad is and that. Them man there are not certified like that. You get certified ones, but they're mad volatile. I don't want to talk too tough. But yeah, man, big up Jude anyways. Still not gonna buy you a foot manager though. But moving forward, let's talk about West Brom. Let me zoom in because this is looking dead for you lot, innit? This is looking crusty and dusty. But let me zoom back in. Yeah, I see. Well, yeah, I see 2.5. Them man there. If you know, you know. But moving forward, West Brom against Arsenal, people, and it's a game that fills me with nerves. For me personally, I'm scared of going to the Hawthorns. It gives me them Southampton vibes. It gives me the Brighton vibes, you know. And definitely when a team is managed by Sam Allardyce, I'm equally more apparel. We know from his Bolton days, that man hates Arsenal Football Club. He's always chatting about us. You know, he's been preparing for this game. This is probably the one game he don't want to lose. How many weeks ago, before it was even a thing, was he chatting our name? So he's probably galvanizing his troops. You know, we see them get battered against Leeds. Big up Leeds and Rafinha. They put them to the sword. But that might not be our thing, you know, that might not be us. And again, typically, yeah, we've won 2 games on the spin now. We all know when you're a team that's taken a heavy defeat, if you're an underperforming team, you can't buy a win. Players that can't score. Werner didn't do it against Chelsea, mind you, and Brighton didn't get a win at home. But we're typically the team to buck when you're in a bit of a rut. So we need to fix up. They're fighting relegation. With all due respect to those players, you know, with all due respect to those players, there's not too many of those players I think can play Premier League football if it's not going to be for West Brom. You know, Sawyer scored a banger of an own goal. I think he can play. Conor Gallagher will have a career elsewhere. He's on loan. Not too many. Diagana, what's his name? The lad they signed from West Ham. He get a little look in. Beyond that, off the top of my head, there's not too many players, you know, and they're going to be without Livermore as well after his little nonsense in a couple of games ago. But they're fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for their careers. You know, Sam Allardyce is also fighting for that. But his credibility, I'm sure he likes being the manager. Obviously, Pereira as well, people. Big up yourself, Neil, for reminding me. Pereira as well is a baller. There's a couple ballers in that squad still, but there's not too many. Now, so as I was saying, Sam Allardyce's reputation's on the line, people. You know, he's seen as the manager. Anytime you're about to get relegated, you need to bring him in. I don't think he's ever been relegated, and he's got that reputation. He's missed the 40 points. So again, I'm sure he wants to keep that. So we're gonna face a resurgent team, and for me, I'm not looking at the 5-0. Personally, I'm looking at the team that first and foremost took a point off Liverpool. So, you know. Took a point off them. You know, Spurs defeated them 1-0. I think Bell scored in that game, or it might have even been Kane, whoever scored. But it took Spurs a while. Now, generally, I've said that with Spurs, it takes them a while. You know, Spurs for me this season have made games harder than it needs to be. But at the same time, they put up a fight at the Hawthorns. That was away from home, of course. A point off them is a good result, people. So they got a point off Liverpool. They did their thing against Spurs. You know, I'm sure that who else did they play? They played another top 6 rival, and they made them work for those 3 points. It might have been Chelsea. They make people work. They do. Obviously, with all due respect, it's a championship side. You know, that defense will show you they're a championship side. And again, this is provided we go out there, be aggressive, do what we did in the Chelsea game, start strong. And obviously, they've got former Arsenal players. Apparently, Kieran Gibbs is apparently injured. Semi Ajayi, who scored against Liverpool. I'm sure he'd like to do the same or put in a convincing performance against us. You know, you've got a couple of you got someone I used to play with in Darnell Furlong. I was a better right back than him, but at the end of the day, he's playing Premier League. Don't have the special last name of Furlong like his dad. But yeah, we're playing against people with a point to prove. Conor Gallagher is a Chelsea man. His parent club couldn't beat us. Maybe he wants to. If I'm West Brom, I'm thinking Arsenal are a soft touch. I'm thinking, you know, I'd say, boys, we made Spurs have to fight for a 1-0 win against us. We got a point off Liverpool. Arsenal are soft. You know, these are soft, overrated, overpaid players. You're better than them. You know, they want to come to your place and they think they're going to get back-to-back away wins. Myth. That's what I would be telling them if I was Big Sam. I'd say first 5, if you make it difficult, if you go 2 banks of 4, stay rigid, you put a firm tackle in, these boys won't want to play. You know, they're even on top of that, they're even complacent because they've won 2 games now. They think everything's rosy. Let's go and smash these guys and put question marks back on their manager, put question marks back on their team, have their fans moving mad all on the socials. That's what they should do. And they, you know, even though I can't say I'll be surprised if we lose because we've been moving mad this season, the headlines will be mad. Like I said, people, he's fighting to stay in the league, you know. He's called us rivals and he does not like us, people. And again, he's seeing us as relegation rivals. He's seeing his team fighting back. So we have to be very careful of this, people. Very careful. You know, Sam Johnson's done all right this season. He's a former United man, but I don't think it's like that to us. Like I said, it's two wins from 2 is great, but we have to keep it up. We have to keep it up. And the Brighton game wasn't perfect. You know, if we're honest, the Chelsea game was quality, but and I don't want to do the ifs and could have, would have done and all them things because it's coulda, woulda, shoulda, and ifs and buts don't win anything. But at the same time, we all know really and truly they scored that penalty. 5 minutes added on time. Pretty sure many Arsenal fans expect it to be 3-3. So I don't know, people. So it's we've got a bit of a feel-good factor going on right now, but there's every reason to want to continue this. It's 13th versus 19th. Well, we're not 19th, we're 13th and they're 19th. But 2 positions neither team wants to be in. Both teams need 3 points, people. You know, Sam Allardyce's record or his team's record against us isn't the worst, people. He's won 13, drawn 2, lost 2, scored 45 and conceded 17. This man is the Arsenal villain. He is a villain. He is our arch nemesis. This is Jose. Bro, only Jose must have a better statistic than this. Obviously, there's better man that do, but this is up there with them, people. This is a man that knows how to play us. You know, I do think Sam Allardyce gets an unfair reputation of being a dinosaur to a degree because he's quite open to technology, but I'm sure he's on that. You know, Arsenal have only won back-to-back Premier League matches twice since October 2018. So this should be what the players are focusing on, you know, playing well, building upon what you have, keeping the good run going. You know, look at the table. As poor as we've been, you win again and you're 5 points off something, really and truly. And ifs and buts don't do anything. So yeah, a man said it's damning DG voice. I swear down, I say that. I must be really rattled. So like I said, that's a disgrace. And we all know away games we've been poor, and this is the sort of this is the sort of nonsense as to why we're sat where we're sat. So again, you want to put this right. Like I said, you look at West Bromwich Albion statistics, people. Let me zoom in further for you lot because I can't see on this screen looking at this. Oh. You look at their last games, people, and it doesn't make for good reading, and it does give Arsenal promise, but games are not won on paper. I wasn't even really trying to focus on the Brighton and Fulham games, but they lost to Fulham, which should tell you everything. They drew with Brighton. You know, they made Spurs work. They made United work, which was the game I was missing out. They made United work for that. You know, they got slaughtered against Crystal Palace. They beat Sheffield, another team fighting relegation. So yeah, people, they're not duds. They're not duds. You know, they made United work for the points. They made Spurs work for the points, and the United one was actually away. So was the City game. They drew with City. They drew with Liverpool. You know, look at the last 5 games. It's not for good reading, and it's not going to keep them in the league. But that's 2 very good points. Battered against Villa, you know, slaughtered against Leeds, lost to Newcastle. It don't look good in their last 5 games. You can't see a win, and you can see a lack of clean sheets there. And you know, you're looking at cricket scores. So what does this tell you? They cannot score because they've got championship level strikers. They struggle to defend because they're conceding, but there's an element of togetherness and fight and that thing's there. They're not going to roll over. They can't afford to sit here and roll over. They're fighting relegation. Some of them are fighting for their careers. Like how many of you, and I'm not trying to get at them, I'm not, because if Arsenal lose to them, it's a disgrace, but I can see it happening if we don't fix up. And I do think an air of complacency is creeping in. You know, how many of these West Bromwich Albion players are going to play Premier League football? Like, going through their squad, who would you take? You know, but we can't look at this because stats go out the window, and definitely when you're bucking Arsenal, people. Courtesy of Google, shout out to Google, you can see some statistics here. West Brom are unbeaten in their last 3 Premier League home games against Arsenal, which is why I am shook of playing them at the Hawthorns. They've won 2 and drawn 1, having only avoided defeat in 3 of their first 9 against them at the Hawthorns in the competition. It's mad. Arsenal have scored in all 24 of their Premier League meetings with West Brom, the best 100% scoring record by one side against an opponent in the competition history. Now, I'm hoping that continues because West Brom seem to struggle to come from behind. Arsenal have won just one of their last 6 away Premier League games against promoted sides. That came against Fulham on the opening day. I remember being scared against Sheffield United. So, again, that's something, back-to-back away games is what I want to see, people. Winning a back-to-back away game, beating a promoted team, and defeating Big Sam Allardyce. Like, away from, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but from an Arsenal perspective, with my Arsenal hat on, I hate Sam Allardyce as a manager, not as a person. As a manager, I hate him. He's always drawing out Arsenal. He's always talking on us. He's been very, very critical. I think it kind of sums up. I think Arsenal kind of sums up for him. They're coming over and stealing our job, sort of thing. I'm not saying he's about that, but that's the sort of thing I get from him. He hates us and hates what we came with and all sorts and all that back in my day nonsense. He doesn't like us. Sam Allardyce, this is probably the first fixture he looked at. This is probably where he's looking at to start off his career at West Brom, because he's fighting against it. His job is on the line, sort of thing. And that is he able to save them from relegation? They're going to need to stand up to be counted. Quickly, let's look at West Brom fixtures quickly, people. Who are their fixtures to come? So again, it's not getting easier for them. So they're going to need to stand up to be counted. And he's got to galvanize the troops. And it's a passion thing. It's not a game for. It's like us against Chelsea. He should be doing the passion thing. It's not a game for It's not a game for tactics and things. Work harder than Arsenal. Believe you're better than them. Exploit, set pieces. You know the thing. What Sam Allardyce is going to do. You know what's there on. Hella crosses. They've got Pereira. They've got the guy they signed from West Ham. They've got some technical ballers, but they're not going to try and pass us off the park. In the same way, if we play City, we're not going to do that. Or we're not going to try and outrun Liverpool. It's not going to make sense. You're going to focus on what you can do. Why? It's better to maximize what you're good at than try and do what the opponent's doing, but you can only do a quarter to that. So we'll see. But like you can see, their fixtures aren't getting easier. So they're going to have to galvanize their troops and they're going to have to stand up to be counted. They welcome us. They've got Blackpool. Shout out to Daniel Ballard. Hopefully they can provide an FA Cup upset. They've got Wolves away, Midlands derby. They're then away against West Ham. They then welcome City. You can see the Fulham, Sheffield, Spurs, United, Burnley, Brighton game. So they're going to need to fix up, and it's going to need to start there, They're going to need to start there. So this is probably where he's sitting there and saying, yo, this is where our season starts. Anyone that's not down for the hard work, keep it moving. You're looking at it as well, people. Arsenal have lost their opening league game in just 2 of the last 19 calendar years, losing 2-0 at Southampton in 2015 and 2-1 at Fulham in 2012. Can remember both of them vividly. Don't make it a third time, innit? Arsenal lost their last league game against a side in the relegation zone, losing at home to Burnley. The Gunners have never lost consecutive Premier League games against a side starting the day in the drop zone before. So make sure make sure you're not creating negative history. I just want to see that back-to-back away things patterned. Random statistic, West Brom are winless in their last 37 games when conceding the opening goal, with their last sucks victory coming against Bournemouth in 2017. Now, as an Arsenal fan, there's things that can always happen and you think we'd be the club. But what does that tell you? Score some goals early on. Aubameyang, you ain't been too prolific. You should be trying to score in this game, really and truly. So let's see what on. If we look at the sort of team stuff now, if we go and look at what other people have to say, what's this Sky Sports article? Let's get into this one first, since it's at the top. Big up everyone. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Check out the pin message. West Brom versus Arsenal. Watch along from 7:30, even though the pin message says 7:20 tomorrow. Please hit the like button on that and hit the reminders. So, as you lot know, Big Sam is probably expected to make changes. We all know, like Sky Sports is saying here, and as you would say, they have been very vocal on his players. And again, this is time. If you're questioning your players' character and mentality, you're going to want to see a fight back. Players that are going to be thrown in against Arsenal, assuming he does make change, you're going to need to stand up to be counted and prove your manager. We all know Jake Livermore misses out. Kieran Gibbs is a doubt with a quad injury. We've already spoken about Arsenal. We already know. Reece Nelson is still nursing an injury. Partey will not play. Gabriel will not play. These two are back in training, probably be on the bench. Lacazette has a minor back injury. It'd probably be cool. He played. Let's see what our gaffer, Arsenal's gaffer, Mikel Arteta, has to say. So Big up yourself, my guy. If that's the real you, shout out to you, man. Come on. We're on 31,000. So we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot. Shout out to you lot. Let's actually see what I'm going for this thing though. So yeah, Mikel Arteta with his Zoom calls. Let's see, man. On the latest team news, obviously he said we'll see today, and he said the same things. He's played coy on Saka. When asked on what back-to-back wins has done for the confidence, we needed those results, that's for sure. But we need a much longer run than that. And again, 2 wins and everything's rosy at Arsenal. That cannot be the case. There are things we have done much better to get results in the last 2 games, but there are things that we still have to do and improve. Facts. You look at the first half against Brighton, we're still regarding and needing a second half turnaround. If we was to nitpick at the Chelsea game, we needed 2 dead ball scenarios to really put the ball in the back of the net. The last goal from Saka, if I remember correctly, was crazy. But you get the point. What are you man saying? You man are on me. Man are saying galvanized. Happy thingy to you as well, my guy. Where's Omar's comment? Omar, your comment's gone. There it is. You man are on me, really and truly. Galvanized people. You lot make me very conscious of the way I say things. But shout out to you lot. So yeah, it done a lot for our confidence, but it's only 2 games. You know, everything can't just change on 2 games. We need to put a consistent run together. We failed the test in which I saying that from August or whenever the season starts until December / this period, you need to be in and amongst the race for top 4. That's been a myth. So you need to put a run of form together. Hopefully this is the time, because for me, I'm pretty sure the end of January, we've got Wolves, we've got United. There might be another sort of tough game in and around that. So we need to pick up points. Not that you can underestimate anyone in this Premier League, and not that you can definitely underestimate anyone the way Arsenal have genuinely been playing, excluding those games, people. Confidence-wise, it is a completely different scenario when you are winning football matches. Everybody plays with more freedom, more belief. The pressure gets released a little bit, and that is always a positive thing. And that's true, but I do think I don't feel comfortable having a squad where when everything's going wrong, nobody wants to play. When everything's going right, everyone wants to play. It's too volatile. Like, you can't be on that for 4 games, 2 games coming, it's amazing. Because what happens when we lose the next game? What happens when you draw? What happens when adversity is put in your front door? You know, what happens when you have to come back from behind in a game, which we haven't done too many times? You know, anytime you want to achieve a goal in life like football, it's not easy. There's times you doubt yourself. There's times there's injuries. There's times there's hurdles. You know, the sun is shining for these last 2 games. I want to see the same fight and mentality when things are going differently. Because if you man were on the same things you've been in the last 2 games against Villa, for me, Leeds even being 10 men down, Wolves, Spurs, Burnley, Southampton, it'd be a different different script, but I can't do the ifs, buts, and maybes things. The facts are, man, them didn't do it. So we're at where we're at. Now, hopefully it does give us some confidence, people. We'll have to see, you know. West Brom have had 2 games under Sam Allardyce. He said 2 very different games. The first one against Liverpool, they had a really clear plan and they executed it really well. That first sentence, I hope the players take heed. They had a plan, they executed it. West Brom are not small fries. Take them like this is Barcelona in a Champions League final, people. Wish I could go back in time to 2006, but because Barcelona cheated that. Having flashbacks about Champions League final now and the fact that we're not Champions League winners. But yeah, that first sentence, I want the players to heed it. He said even going 1-0 down, they didn't really change anything at all. They knew they would have their moments. They grew and got into the game and were much more effective in the second half and put Liverpool in trouble. Sam is very efficient about what he does. He has a very clear philosophy of playing. He always picks up results. He always makes it really difficult for you, and he's not going to be different. His teams are always really organized and know exactly what to do, so it'll be a tough test again. You have it really and truly there. You know, that's it said. The first and last sentences of that paragraph tells me everything. You know, he's got a clear plan. He's an open book. Rise to the occasion. Anyone that's not on clearing their lines, anyone that doesn't think they're going to be in for a tough, cold, long ball day in the Midlands, stay arse in London. You know, stay in London. Tell the manager you're not on this thing, because we need to try and put form together. We need to try and get back-to-back wins. We need to try and defeat this Arsenal villain, which is Big Sam Allardyce. And that's not going to happen if man them are not trying to stand up to be counted. I'm not too sure pressure has been relieved on anybody. I just think in true Arsenal fan fashion, when we do, not that I'll ever want to lose a game, but when we do defeated, that's only when everyone wants to have a balanced conversation. Everybody's seen as negative now if they want to still, because for me, nothing's changed. 2 wavy results, but what's changed? Still should be pressuring them to make something happen in January. Still need to ask questions, still need to see a bit more. When I'm seeing Xhaka come out and doing all the bossy talk after 2 games, brother, do that after 10 games. Do that after 10 games. This tells me just where our side is and how we think like small fishes, bro. We don't think like boss guys. We don't have the growth mindset. It's not there, Obviously, a win, when you can't buy a win, no matter how short it is always a great win. I think it has been lifted on everyone, but honestly, there's a certain pressure, of course, we understand, but most of the pressure on wanting to do so well and disappointing people more than anything else. Arteta, I'm not too sure everybody fears letting people down because typically we ain't been playing like that, and trying to find ways to improve the situation as much as possible. Sometimes in this game, it is very difficult. It is difficult to explain the reasons why you are losing football games and doing much better than the opponent you lose it. It's not, because the devil's in the details. When you look at us, we have failed to learn from mistakes, harping on about possession, number of crosses and things doesn't mean anything. There's been direct consequences as to why we've lost. There's not been no unexplainable stuff. You watch the games twice, and like I've said, you go and look at all my tactical reviews. We're telling you lot, well, go on, you lot are seeing it. So I don't buy that one personally. So yeah, I don't see that. And he said you lose it, and sometimes when you don't deserve it that much, you still win games. That's true. It is what it is. But that was clear. But what was clear is that we had to win football games to release the pressure on everybody. We've done that, but there's still a long way to go. There's no point speaking about Saka. We know Saka is hungry to learn more. He understands the calls for the break, and then it's just more of the same, really and truly. When asked on being a completely different man to speak to, he said, I'm the same man. I'm obviously more happier and more relieved, but results in this industry change everything, and the perception is completely different when you win matches. We all know that, and I'm happier. And that's what I don't like with fans. We should be keeping the same energy with wanting change personally, but it is what it is. Again, I'm not going to read this again. He was asked on whether he thought this was over the top, which it is, but when you lose games that we did and you are in that position that we were in the table, at the end, it is what it is. And you have to accept that. True, you have to accept we're still in a relegation battle. Until I see you in the top half of the table, we're in a relegation battle. We're closer to the bottom than we are the top, so we need to take that. And I want to see that hunger and that fight. I don't want to see any complacency. I want to see a team looking as hungry. Literally, as soon as a man said hungry, I dropped my plate. Fortunately, there's nothing there apart from toast that's finished. But like I said, we've got to be hungry, or as hungry as them people. We've got to want it more than them, and that's what I want to see. I don't want to see a team that said, "Okay, we won 2 games. If we lose this, it's not that bad." Because West Brom ain't got time for that. We ain't got time for that. We need to do a lot. Like Herb said, we need some business done this month for True. We know the young players need to kick on. And you're chatting crap, Arteta here. Unasked on what presents a successful season, I never got that far. For me, the most important thing is to win matches. You're capping. It was top 4 or nothing, or at least trying to implement some way of playing. Cap, please hit the like button, people. He spoke on Reece Nelson. We all know the squad needs to be trimmed. When asked on a loan situation in the summer, he said in January, he said we need to be careful with that. But obviously, financially, it's only us. It's not only us. It's every club in the Premier League who has been hit with big numbers. So again, we probably don't have an outlay to be splashing mad bands and mad money. But this is where I have to get the scouting. Can you find players of a lesser profile? If you're going to get players on loan, I don't mind that. But are you going for players you genuinely want, or are you going for man that they want out the clubs? Like Isco doesn't have a future allegedly at Madrid. What the hell is all of this? Doesn't have a future, like I said, at Madrid. Isco, Inter Milan, their president has come out and said you've got to bust out. Do we genuinely want them, or is it the best we can do? Now, I'm not criticizing them. And I also thought to show you this, people. This probably tells you about. Allow me, man. Allow me, bro. Not now, bro. Allow me, man. With all this cookie crap. But yeah, man, just to get a brief look into into where their mindset is. And like he said, they want to leave a disappointing 2020 basically and approach with a fresh thing for 2021. As you lot know, the admin's doing a lot to save face. A heavy home defeat. Tell them they lost 5-0, man. So yeah, we'll have to see people. Like you said, the way we have to look at it, is that that was our last game of 2020, and the Arsenal game is our first of 2021. It's a chance for us to almost start again, a new year and a fresh start. So what does that tell you? Forgive yourself for the sins you've committed in the past and be hungry to not be in the same situation again. You know, and when you free yourself mentally of that, I always fear teams because football is one on paper. Football's not one on paper, and this is the right mindset to have. And if this is a keeper, what he must be telling the rest of the back line this. He also said we can put 2020 behind us and focus on what's to come in 2021, starting with the Arsenal game on Saturday night at the Hawthorns. We know we've got a really important few months ahead of us. There's still so much to play for with over half the season left. Yes, we've had some bad results, but we've also had some really encouraging results. I really hope that the start of 2021 signifies a new lease of life for us and we start picking up much needed victories. Arsenal haven't had the start of the season they were probably hoping for, but they've won their last two and they'll be full of confidence at the Hawthorns. So what does that tell you? That tells you they already know this Arsenal team's not good. They're overrated. They're overrated and things like that. And that you score a couple, you make it hard for them, that confidence can quickly fizzle out. That Arsenal's confidence is fragile. It is fragile. I don't think many players in our team are confident in themselves. That's why it fluctuates between results. 2 wins, everyone believes it's the best. Couple of losses, you know, more experienced players are looking for Saka to make things happen and whatnot, and things like that. And he's also said we've performed well against the bigger clubs so far, so it'd be great if we could produce a similar display against them on Saturday. Starting the year with 3 points would be such a confidence boost. Hopefully we can shatter that fully. You know, they're 16th in the league for crosses, people. Again, I don't need to spell it out to you. Set pieces, we need to be on job, simply put. Lineup, my only last thing would be the lineup. Lineup, obviously for me, Leno goes in goal. Can't really drop Bellerin. I'd love Maitland-Niles, but I just feel at least, you know, Bellerin has to give me a good performance, which I hope today. Or if he plays bad, then it's a Maitland-Niles thing. For me, I'd go with Rob Holding. I like Marie. You know what? You could probably go with the same thing, to be fair. But I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not that Marie's been bad. If David Luiz is fit, I'd go with Luiz purely because I think they're going to sit back and I want Luiz to be on the ball because he's a brave passer. We look at the first half against Brighton, really and truly, we weren't really trying to play those passes too tough. And that's why you could see Martinelli becoming extremely narrow, Smith Rowe getting frustrated, Saka having to receive it on the halfway line. At least David Luiz has a bit of bravery. Now, match fitness and them thing there, I don't know. As I said, Marie and Holding, they don't deserve to lose their spaces. I wouldn't mind David Luiz and Marie personally, but I would like to see Bellerin, Holding, Marie/Luiz. Obviously, Tierney picks himself. I've gone with a 4 at the back, people. Midfield now, again, we ain't got too many options. I think El Nene struggled. You know, you could go Xhaka and Ceballos, but at least El Nene's on this putting a foot in thing. So I'd go with these two. Admittedly, it'd probably be Xhaka out for Ceballos, but again, probably deserves to keep his space, really and truly. That's a bit harsh. I don't think he does that. But yeah, people, that's the 2 midfield pivots. The 10 position, it firmly remains to Smith Rowe. But then again, it's a bit political though, because I'd like to see us be a bit braver, you know, because again, I think Smith Rowe's going to be unlucky to lose his spot. I think he is going to be very unlucky. Up front, for me, it's Bukayo Saka on the right. It's harsh, but I don't want to drop Aubameyang, you know. And then you've got to go with Martinelli. Now, I don't think Martinelli should be dropped. Again, a part of me wants to go, you know what, Lacazette here, you know, so that's everybody in there. Lacazette, for me, can't be on the bench. And this would probably be my lineup, people. And you lot know me. If we could, better there, definitely. Maitland-Niles, but form's been good. What I think we're gonna see is this guy is gonna be swapped for Aubameyang. Aubameyang's gonna move over to the left-hand side, and because of the focal points and things like that, you've got Lacazette. Bro, he's had a couple of days off. I wouldn't like to rely on him this much, but um, we need to do it. We need our best players, and Saka is one of them. I think he's had enough. At the end, I do think people force it a bit with young players and rest. I don't trust our physio department, but if they think he's good enough to go, it is what it is. Again, we can't afford to rest him. Rest him for what? Like rest him when we get ripped. It's long. So I do think we're going to see Aubameyang move over to the left-hand side and Lacazette through the middle, which would mean Martinelli's dropped out. And I think you would see that, people. If we had someone else, I do think El Nene, I think he deserves to be dropped. I don't rate Xhaka, but I just feel El Nene's been dead in his last couple of games, really and truly. So we have to see, man. We'll have to see. I think Martinelli would be the one to drop out personally. We'll have to see, man. Aubameyang probably has to hold the bench as well, to be fair with you. But I just see Aubameyang moving out to that left-hand side. And I can't lie. Aubameyang, for me, plays every game regardless of that form. If he does a madness against West Brom, then you've got to hold the bench, man. You've got to hold the bench. So, yeah, man. What are you lot saying in the comments? Anyways, that's all I've got for my preview, people. So we're just gonna have to see. There isn't anything more I can spell out to you. Lot. You don't know we need to turn up and stand up to be counted, really and truly. We need to. It's as simple as that. What are you lot saying?